Greetings fellow tank commanders. In this video I'm going to be showing you a game that I played in the Waffentrager off Panzer IV. This is a tier 9 German tech tree tank destroyer which leads to the Grill 15 and the Waffentrager off E100. The game I'm playing is a standard battle on Severogursk with tier 9 as the top tier and 2 artillery on each team. Since this is a sniper tank, I'm going to start off in a very passive position. The area I've selected gives me a great vantage point over the enemies which head to the K0 corner. Snipers in this position are usually quite active. I haven't played many games where the enemy doesn't send a large force to contest this area, and even if they didn't, this tank has enough mobility to easily reposition and find targets. It's surprising that you can actually hold this flank with very few tanks. You'll notice that I have a Leopard PTA teammate who has gone to an aggressive spotting position. This kind of spotting allows snipers like me to repel enemy pushes before they gain any momentum. Those two snipes were rather disappointing for this tank, which has a very reliable gun. It has a high penetration and an accuracy of 0.33 with the 12.8 centimeter cannon which I'm using. This combination makes it an extremely deadly sniper at tier 9. A good tip to use when you're sniping with this tank is to have your tank turned around and facing the enemies backwards. This means that when you get spotted, you can quickly speed away, because the reverse speed on this tank isn't anything phenomenal, and that extra second or two which you're exposed can lead to you taking a lot of damage. And since this tank does not have reliable armor, staying out of the enemy's line of fire is your key to survival. My Waffentrager off Panzer IV is equipped with a tank gun rammer, binoculars, and a camouflage net. Usually I would have gone for an enhanced gun laying drive, but the aim time on this gun is pretty good and I don't find myself moving around too much with it, so I want to use the other two equipment slots to improve my survivability with the tank. And now my tank can stay hidden longer, which gives me more opportunities for shots. And the binoculars means that I rely less on my teammates, which is very helpful on open maps in the late game. I've got a T-30 teammate that's moved up just to my left. He's far more exposed than he should be, and he makes an easy target for both the enemy snipers and the enemy artillery. The T-30 would have fared better staying back near my position, where this small little hill provides some good ridgeline cover, and it's easy to roll back out of sight. Now the enemy starts to make a huge mistake here, coming at us one at a time. If you're going to make a push up this side of the map, you need to do it fast and with a lot of support. Coming at us one by one though makes some very easy targets, and my very reliable sniper tank just rips them apart. I've also got a tier 8 Japanese heavy tank just off to my right. Although it might not be the best position for that tank, he's soaking up a lot of the enemy's fire, and since he's sitting out in the open giving them a target to shoot at, it slows the enemy's advance and gives my teammates and I more time to wear down the enemies. Unfortunately, the enemy spotted me out, and in the time that it takes for my teammates to destroy the spotters, I missed some valuable sniping opportunities, but it's not worth the risk getting spotted out and giving the enemy artillery an easy kill. Fortunately for us, the enemy is not very well coordinated this game. They all seem to be going about their own game plans but not working together as a unit. This has made their attempts to claim this side of the map unsuccessful and slow, which allows me to get plenty of sniping opportunities. If they had moved as one solid unit and overwhelmed my Leopard PTA in front, this flank would have fell quite quickly. Once again here I'm spotted out and I'm not taking any unnecessary risks. Keeping as many hit points as possible with the Waffentrager off Panzer IV is absolutely essential until the late game. If you're finding yourself taking a lot of damage or trading shots with the enemy before over half their team is destroyed, then you need to rethink your strategy and probably reposition. Now that the enemies have been destroyed out in the open, my teammates and I are moving forward to see if we can claim this flank. Now one of the best things about this tank is its full rotation and its rear mounted turret. This allows me to peek around corners while showing very little of my tank. This gives it some great flexibility to work around teammates or simply just peek out around a corner and run away really fast while you're on the reload. There are a lot of uses for this strategy, both offensive and defensive, and it can be extremely useful in many situations. If the enemy Waffenträger off Panzer IV had been using the same strategy as me, he would have been able to trade shots with me and it would have made my strategy far less effective. Fortunately, he didn't though, and I'm able to get some easy damage hits in on him. I'm in a little bit of a tough spot here because now I'm all by myself. One shot from the 15cm cannon on the other Waffenträger off Panzer IV would seriously cripple my tank, and it would be easy for the enemy T-69 to finish me off. I'm going to be very cautious here and use the same strategy as before. I was expecting the T-69 to rush me, followed by the tank destroyer, but once I realized that they weren't attempting to make an assault move, I decided to go in for another shot. Once again, the enemy led with the front of their hull rather than the rear turret, and it gave me a huge advantage in this situation. Now this was a bit of a chaotic situation for me. My plan was to try to keep the T-69 out in the open so that my artillery could hit him. Fortunately for me, his ram didn't do too much damage and his clip was relatively unsuccessful, and I managed to finish him off with only a few hit points remaining. If the enemy tank destroyer with him had been able to get a shot off, this situation would have gone in the enemy's favor, and although flanking maneuvers are a good idea when you're fighting a group of concentrated enemies, in this case the enemy had a 2-on-1 advantage and they would have been better off charging me head on. Now I'm just hunting down the last two artillery, which are a nice reward at the end of the game. Overall, this has been quite a successful game. I managed to use this tank's excellent sniping capabilities throughout the early game, and since I managed to hold on to so many of my hit points until the late game, I was able to use this very soft tank effectively in close quarters. I'm very lucky here that the enemy artillery wasn't facing towards me. Now let's check the post-game stats and see how I did. For this game, I managed to earn 77,000 silver without any multipliers or any ops. I earned 6,898 experience with a 2x daily multiplier, 250 from one op, and a 25% multiplier from another op. I managed to deal 7,376 damage, assist with 1,079 damage, and destroy 5 enemies. This earned me High Caliber and Mastery Badge Ace Tanker. Unfortunately, there are no epic awards for this game, just a solid performance with a really good tank destroyer. I placed at the top of my team, earning a base XP of 1,970. I'm happy to see that my Leopard PTA teammate managed to place second. His role as a spotter, holding the enemy in place long enough to get plenty of snipes, was essential for me to have such a great game. I managed to hit 20 of my 22 shots and penetrate 16 of those. This is some good reliability considering I was fighting at a long distance for most of the game. I didn't do much in terms of crew and module damage this game. I damaged the engine in the Tiger II and destroyed the engine in the Waffentrager off Panzer IV. Well, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed this game in the Waffentrager off Panzer IV, and that you'll be able to use some of the strategies from this game to help you with your own performance with the tank. Stay tuned for more awesome World of Tanks videos.